Oh, hey guys, Herminio here from Team ABK along with Bear. Say hi, Bear. Anyways, I'm doing this video, guys, because I had a thought, and I thought I might share that thought with you guys. And that thought is hipsters in Yu-Gi-Oh. With like any game or anything, but there's like a lot of diversity. There's always gonna be hipsters. There's hipsters in cars. There's hipsters in music. There's hipsters in clothes. There's lots of hipsters. But the hipsters in Yu-Gi-Oh are very special because I've been playing this game for a very long time and I know who these hipsters are, even when they don't know who they are. I think at one point I might have considered myself a bit of a Yu-Gi-Oh hipsters, but this is when I'm assuming when I was like very little. And the reason I was a hipster Yu-Gi-Oh is because I couldn't afford to play most of the decks out there, so I had to make my own. I had no job. I was sick, so like the only competitive deck I had was my band deck. When they still had band tournaments when I was like 10, 11, 12, etc. So anyways, that's a bit of a derail. I want to talk about two hipsters that I've noticed throughout my years of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! My eyeball. Ow. Hipster number one is the hipster that cannot conform. This is the hipster that cannot play meta decks just because they are called the meta. I find this very sad. I think this is the saddest of the hipsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm gonna stop saying hipsters because I'm gonna get myself confused. I think this is the saddest of the players because these players just do not play the meta just because they're called the meta. I think that's very sad. And the problem with these hipsters, like what they do is a lot of them can be found on DN. That's like their little natural habitat. And what they do is they play on OCG and TCG like shit combined. So what happens is like they see Shaddoll's being released, and then what they do is they make decks way before the stuff comes out, and they start playing and they fall in love with it. Oh, this deck's gonna be OP. Like, and then like what they do is they play people who are playing Yugioh, which was the meta at the time before Shaddoll's came out, and it's like, you see my Shaddoll deck Rex on you, whatever. Then the problem is the deck comes out. The deck becomes popular, the deck starts being played, the deck becomes the meta, and what these hipsters do is they drop the deck completely just because it's called the meta. I don't comprehend that. Like, you knew about the deck beforehand, that's awesome, that's cool. You fell in love with the deck before it came out, but just because it's being played by other players doesn't mean you have to drop it. Like, why? why do players like this exist? This is like the players that frustrate me. Like, I understand if it's the cards are like expensive, like you can't afford it, or it's like you think that's like a bullshit price. Like, that's fine, just wait or even save up to play it. Like, you wanted to play the deck, go ahead and play it. Don't just trash on the deck. And that's another thing, by the way. They'll rev it up, they'll hype it up until like the deck actually comes out, and what they do is they just start trashing on it. Like, why? you said your Shaddoll deck smashed on my Gear deck, and now you're saying Shaddoll are really shitty. Okay, so enough of this about that hipster number one. We're gonna go into the hipster number two. I think this one is also a pretty sad hipster, but it's in a different level. Hipster number two is the hipster that cannot let go. And by this, I mean this is the player that probably did play the meta at one point, most likely, and they fell in love with the deck. They fell in love with it, and when it was just too soon to let it go, and they just couldn't let go, and they made love with this deck. They generically love this deck. I'm talking to you, a lot of 6-Sam players that still play the deck, and that when I've even asked a few players, like, what would make you quit this game if 6-Ams or whatever the deck they love, let's say Injectors, are completely dead. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Go away. Anyways, and to me, that I find that like that's just so sad to narrow down a whole game, which we have a lot of diversity deck, especially this format. We have a lot of decks that can be played, and these players, they just narrow down the whole game into one deck. That's like why would you do that? I mean, I get it. Like, again, I get if it's like money issues, you can only play one deck. That's cool. But like, if it can no longer compete, what you do is what I used to do when I was little. Even when I first came back to this game competitively, I would invest in one deck, and then when that deck can no longer compete, or when I'm sick of that deck, or when that deck just again cannot compete, I would put that deck all of it in my trade binder and then just swap it for a new deck. That's what I did. That's what I did when I was younger, before I had a job, before I was part of Team ABK. And you can do that, but these players, they just can't let go. And to me, I find that very sad. I think that's like more sad in a different level than the other ones. The other level is just like, I just can't understand. I can't comprehend it. It's like I don't understand the way of thinking. This one's just like, oh, that's so sad. But anyways, you guys, I just had this thought about these players, these two kinds of players in Yu-Gi-Oh! And my question is, what do you guys think about these players? Do you guys think these players are bad? Do you consider yourself one of these players? Which by the way, I do have to add, I think all Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are a bit of a hipsters, and to some degree. Like, I was a bit of a Dragon Ruler hipster. I hated Dragon Ruler, so that was just a complete bullshit format. I think that was the worst format in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, in my opinion. Of course, there's gonna be some people who disagree, but I was a hipster. I did not play that format. I would play for fun, but a lot of different decks. Anyways, what do you guys think about these players? Are they bad? Are they good? Do you consider yourself one of them? And do you think these players would last? In my opinion, I don't. Most of these players don't last. But what do you guys think? I'm Herminio from Team ABK, Awkward Bear Kids, along with Bear. And we'll see you guys next time.